Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yugioh Everything, and welcome back to another Yugioh VRains episode review. Now, I know I said I would do a live reaction to this episode, as I would for most Yugioh VRains episodes going forward, but I must have left my webcam up at college, and so I had no way to record myself and do a live reaction. I greatly apologize for that, but anyway, we are going to get into the review. So episode 52, the conclusion between Go and Soulburner. Generally speaking, what did I think about the episode? There were things I really liked about the episode, and there were other things that I'm a little 50-50 on, that I didn't really like as much. The things that I loved was, of course, seeing Soulburner's backstory. Seeing what happened to his parents. I mean, we don't know exactly what happened to his parents, but we know that in the 6 months, I mean, I thought Playmaker had it bad, and don't get me wrong, every kid, maybe except Spectre, in that lost incident, suffered tremendous trauma. But think about it from Soulburner's point of view. For 6 months, he's tortured as a kid. He's stuck in this place where all he can eat is Duel. He can't move. I mean, he's in this very small confinement. He can only eat based on his dueling ability. He gets out, and I'm sure the two people that he just wants to see the most are his parents, and his parents are dead. His parents died looking for him endlessly. Now, that might not be the direct reason the accident happened, but I'd imagine it probably was. The grandparents literally said they were looking for you endlessly. They died in an accident. So, Soulburner not only loses himself because of this horrific 6 months of torture, but he also loses his parents. Horrible, horrible, horrible for Homura, and so you understand why he was frozen and why he was doing everything half-heartedly. So from Soulburner's perspective, from Takeru's perspective, I thought this was a really great episode for him. On the other hand, you have Go, who, that's where I'm kind of 50-50. First of all, when this duel started, when we first found out about this duel, I was very split on this duel. I think they executed it as well as they could have, but I still feel like this duel was a little strange. You have Soulburner, who I am really viewing as a Playmaker 2.0. I'm just viewing him that way because he reminds me a lot of Johan, a lot of Jesse from GX, who came on as a late Judai best friend, a late main character best friend, and Johan barely ever lost. But I'm also viewing him that way because I feel like every kid in the Lost Incident, except maybe Spectre, is going to barely lose. Unless, of course, Bowman was in the Lost Incident as well. But it seems like Soulburner is that second-tier character of Playmaker. And he just reminds me a lot of Playmaker. He honestly does. With his dueling ability, he uses a ritual monster, which was surprising. I remember we were speculating for months on whether Playmaker was going to use a ritual, and finally, he uses the ritual, and then literally about 2-3 weeks later, Soulburner uses a ritual. So we have two ritual monsters being used in Yugioh VRains, which is awesome. Will we see other methods? Probably not, but, you know, we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. Anyway, going back to the premise of this duel, there's so many characters that Soulburner could be dueling where they could give his exposition, where they could give that same backstory. Now, I guess it makes sense with Go, because Go, of course, was one of Soulburner's heroes, was someone who helped Takeru step out of the darkness and kind of move into the spotlight a little bit, but at Go's expense. They revitalized Go's character. They changed Go's character completely. They made him a bounty hunter, they made him abandon charisma dueling, and I still feel like he needed the win way more than Soulburner did. Even if Go wins, Soulburner can say, well, I distracted you, Playmaker got away, and hopefully my words got through to you, and then Go can move on to his next quest. But to give him this whole character makeover, and then to have him lose, what was even the point, right? What was even the point of giving him this makeover? Now, it doesn't seem like Homura's words have fully reached him yet. In fact, I love what Go said at the end when Go got defeated. I know we're kind of all over the place. I usually follow linearly, but I feel like this is kind of an episode where I want to hop from point to point. Go goes, when you do lose, because everyone is going to lose, and I think that's kind of referring to Playmaker and Soulburner, because I don't think since the Lost Incident they have ever lost a duel, honestly, and so when they do lose, it's going to be shocking to the fans. But Go says, when you do lose a duel, you either rot, or you use it as a springboard, and, you know, position yourself in a better position than you were before you lost. And I think that was such an interesting final sentence from Go, because to me, he's rotting. The losses are causing him to rot. And to himself, he thinks that he's doing this as a springboard, but honestly, his will is a little shaken. His whole sense of self is practically destroyed from what it was 8 months ago when he was the top charisma duelist in the world. So, to me, Go is rotting because of these losses, and because he doesn't have that as strong of a will. His will has been completely broken by Revolver, by Playmaker, by Soulburner. The other thing is, he's one of the only characters that's dueled all these top-tier level duelists. Who is left for him to duel, honestly? And that's why I feel like, I don't want to say Shingo, but Shingo was a character in Arc 5 that I thought he could be. I mean, I don't know. I think I had more respect for Go than I did Shingo. Shingo was always a little annoying to me. As you guys know, I wasn't really the biggest Shingo fan, but he was a character who I thought was going to at least be a decent duelist. Someone Akiba Reiji entrusted the pendulum cards to very early in Arc 5. Sawatari did not have any solo, any 1v1 wins. And when you look at it a little deeper than that, he dueled a lot of really good characters. He dueled Yuya, he dueled Yugioh, he dueled Yugioh, he dueled a lot of top-tier Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 duelists, very similar to the path they're going with Go. They didn't give Shingo any wins, so he never really got validation, at least in my eyes, and in a lot of people's eyes, as a decent duelist who could at least get the job done in terms of winning. Winning and losing, of course, isn't everything, but when you lose enough times to the point that a character never wins, you just don't view them as a formidable duelist in this universe, even if they are. I'm not saying Shingo's a bad duelist, but the fact he never beat anyone leads a lot of viewers to that conclusion, that he wasn't a good duelist, and rightfully so, because he never beat anyone in a 1v1 duel. A lot of his duels were versus fodder, and they were in like 3v1, 3v5 weird circumstances. Go, I'm worried, is really going down that path. Now, yes, he beat Dr. Gnome. That was a good win for him, but since then, he dueled Revolver, and he's put up good fights. That's the other thing. He's put up a good fight against Playmaker. I thought he put up a very good fight against Soulburner, a very good fight against Revolver, but if you keep burying a character, which is a wrestling term, if you just keep burying a character, especially one that you just rebuilt and revitalized, I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me to give Go the loss here, but at the same time, if you give Go the win and Go takes Soulburner's Ignis, we all knew that wasn't going to happen. I just hate when the Ignis are on the line, and that's another duel where the Ignis are going to be on the line. Playmaker versus Blood Shepherd, which is coming up, which is a duel that I'm very excited about, mainly because I think Blood Shepherd is an awesome character, and I'm so even the preview for Blood Shepherd was just like, he's a man who sold his soul. He kills people. When he duels people, they're left dead. Really brutal stuff. So I'm very excited to see Blood Shepherd, but because I is on the line, because Playmaker's Ignis is on the line, you know he's not. You know Playmaker's going to win. And that is starting to become trending, and it makes these duels a little bit predictable, which is a shame, because I was really hoping that the writers would surprise us, and a draw, I think, would have been surprising. A Go win would have been very surprising, but I thought it would have been possible. I thought it was possible, clearly not the way the writers wanted to go. So Go's character, which I thought was in a precarious spot going into this season, is really, really buried right now, and I'm not sure how they're gonna revitalize him. I really don't know. I mean, how are you can't really give him too much more of a backstory. We know his backstory. You used his exposition in this episode, in this duel, to try and springboard him back into the thumbs up for the fans and back into the relevancy of the show. And not to say, he's not relevant. I still think he's one of the main characters, but I don't see a way forward for Go right now. I really don't. And it's not like they can give us more backstory and more exposition. So, I don't know. Maybe he's gonna join like the antagonist teams. I mean, this is kind of a stepping stone to maybe being a villain. And maybe if he's a villain and on the villain team, that would kind of shake it up, give him some flavor. I really don't know. If you guys have any opinions on where they should take Go's character right now, I'd love to hear it. But I will say this, though. Go is not fully engulfed in this selfishness, because when a missile is coming in from Hayami, which, by the way, Hayami went classic anime evil girl for like 10 seconds with the close-up of the face, and about how she went insane. I was actually like terrified while I was watching. I was like, Jesus, what the hell is going on? I mean, female Vector-esque almost. And she sends missiles at Soulburner trying to destroy him because she's worried about Akira losing his job, and Go takes the brunt of those missiles. Go very selflessly, very respectfully, flies into the missiles and takes the hit instead of Soulburner, and that just shows you that he still is kind of the charisma duelist, kind of the Go that we all remember, that we were all introduced to at the beginning of the show. So, I just don't know. I know this review became kind of me discussing Go's characterization. I don't know what's going to happen with him. Soulburner gets a big win. He says he's still searching for his self. Another interesting character that was, I love when we came back from commercial break, and I love when you see a scene start that's not in like the dueling world, because you're probably going to get some pretty good backstory, and we see a girl riding her bicycle down, a harbor. It's a very beautiful scene, and we see her see Takeru in the distance, and she ends up going to Takeru and says, are you coming to school? Her name was Kiku, and at first I thought this could have been Homura's sister, but I don't think it was, because if it was Homura's sister, one, she would have been at the hospital with the grandparents when Homura finally, after 6 months, got rescued. Two, she probably would have been at the funeral, not even the funeral, but when Homura went to see his parents, like, remembrance statues. And three, Homura, when he says, please watch my grandparents, he says my grandparents, not our grandparents. So I think this is probably a close school friend, maybe someone that really helped Homura out. And it's funny, because if this wasn't Yugioh, I was like, oh, I bet you they're gonna like hug or maybe even kiss goodbye. And I'm like, wait, it's Yugioh. They're not gonna do that. He literally taps her, like pats her on the shoulder, and walks off into the distance, leaving cities. A girl that came all the way, and for romance, it's a perfect scene, right? It's a beautiful sunny day, right on the shores, right on the boardwalk, and Homura taps her on the shoulder and walks off. And it's like, it's just such classic Yugioh. Any other anime, I mean, at the very least, they're clearly friends. You're at least going to give your friend a hug goodbye, but no, you can't have any romantic physical contact in Yugioh. So I thought that was hilarious, but she seems, the reason they introduced her, there has to be a reason they introduced her. So whether she's going to maybe be kidnapped, whether she's maybe going to be, I don't want to say the girl victim, I doubt she'll be the girl victim, but whether she's going to play a role in the story or not, I guess remains to be seen, but I'd be surprised if that's the last we see of Kiku. So that was pretty interesting. But guys, I'm going to cut myself off there. Please let me know all your thoughts on episode 52 of Yugioh VRains down below in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching. As always, thank you for the support, and I hope you have an amazing day.